Hello, and welcome to the fifth and final part of the Earth Charter webinar series. My name is Mallory Hopkins, and I am the host of the series and the Earth Charter internal champion at Medcom Benefit Solutions. Medcom provides employee benefits and services for companies and institutions across the country. We became a partner with Earth Charter International at the beginning of 2020 and have been working for our community even before that. We have several internal committees that work to make Medcom a more collaborative, accepting, and sustainable place. Our employees have done volunteer projects, and we work to become a member of the North Florida Green Chamber of Commerce. If you haven't heard of it, the Earth Charter International is an organization that cultivates a global network of people creating enthusiastic local action to make the world a better place. ECI also has an education center that teaches online and in-person classes about sustainability, ethics, and other topics. These classes use the Earth Charter document as a guide. The document is the heart of ECI, as well as the Earth Charter movement. The Earth Charter document is made up of 4 pillars that describe in detail how to make the world a more just, sustainable, and peaceful place. The 4 pillars are respect and care for the community of life, ecological integrity, social and economic justice, and democracy, nonviolence, and peace. And today we'll be covering democracy, nonviolence, and peace, the 4th pillar. To break down this 4th pillar of the Earth Charter and share some of his expertise, Dr. Sam Crowell has joined us today. Dr. Crowell is a longtime supporter and advocate of Earth Charter and continues to travel and present to educate the general public about what Earth Charter is doing for the community and the planet. He works at the Graduate Institute for Transformative Learning and develops classes for the Earth Charter Education Center. He's also a UNESCO Chair on Education for Sustainable Development. So I'm so excited to introduce Dr. Crowell and hand it off to him for the rest of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Mallory. It's a real honor to be a part of this and to have an opportunity to just share a bit on this really important principle and pillar of the Earth Charter, democracy, nonviolence, and peace. So thank you for being a part of this, and thank you for letting me share a few thoughts and ideas. I want to begin with asking you to participate in just 3 simple breaths. You'll see a beautiful image. I hope you think it's beautiful, and of a sunrise. And as the sun rises, what I'd like for you to do is just breathe, just an easy deep breath, and blow out through your mouth about honoring the day so far that's come from the beginning of the day till now. And next, we have a second breath. And the next slide there is now we're going to just breathe in right now, wherever you are, whatever you're feeling, the intentions you have for this, just do a simple breathing in and an easy, relaxing breath through our mouths. And the third breath, with the slide, is now the breath for the rest of the day, honoring what is yet to come, the possibilities ahead of us, and the vision that's yet to be realized. So a simple breathing in and letting out through the mouth. So thank you. This is just to get started into the presentation, because I'll be using this as kind of an organizer for my thoughts. Going to be look at what's come before that you've had a chance to hear and understand the 3 pillars of the Earth Charter prior to now, and then the now will be the presentation of our piece of democracy, nonviolence, and peace. And then the third will be looking ahead and to see where we can take this. So the next slide. Before you've had the principles and of the previous pillars, respect and care for the community of life, that sense of caring, that sense of really wanting to celebrate the diversity and the larger community of life that we're all a part of. Ecological integrity, that sense of the natural world and our being a part of that natural world. It's part of our home, it's part of our legacy, and it's part of our responsibility. And the third is social and economic justice, that sense of genuine fairness, of lifting each other up in this world and creating a sustainable, I guess, distribution of resources as we go forward into the world. And then now the democracy, nonviolence, and peace. Next slide. Two of the things that have also come before is a sense of interconnection. In the preamble of the Earth Charter, there's a sense that we are interconnected with all of the things that have come before, but all of the things that are also part of us right now. But we're also interconnected and related to the world of the future, to our children and grandchildren. Years ago, my granddaughter was sitting at the counter doing some drawings as she was watching her mom make dinner. And as she sat there drawing kind of mindlessly and coloring in, she asked a question, just stopped with what she was doing and said, "Mommy, why was I born? Why was I born?" Such an innocent, beautiful question. And she followed it up with, "Who am I supposed to be?" And I started thinking about that when my daughter shared those questions. Why was I born? And realizing that all of us in our own way are asking that question, or it's somehow latent in our life worlds. Why was I born? What am I supposed to do with my life? And it goes beyond just having a job and making a living. It really goes to that sense of having a purpose and having an idea and a feeling that we're making a difference in the world. It just brings such a different value to our lives when we feel like that there's a purpose behind what we do and who we are. And so this sense of interconnectedness is a concept that's amazingly important, because everything that we do makes a difference. If we are interconnected, then we have a natural sense of responsibility. In the next slide. And the sense of responsibility in the Earth Charter is called universal responsibility, but I like to think of it actually as an inescapable responsibility. If we are truly connected and related and interdependent with everything else in the world, then there is a sense that everything we do makes a difference. It isn't whether we can make a difference, it's actually what kind of difference do I make? And so as I read the Earth Charter and responded in my own way, this sense of responsibility, and perhaps as you read it, it will to you as well. It isn't just a document to read and say, I like this part, I don't really connect here. It's an aspect of how do I bring these values to life in my world and in my sphere of influence? How can I be a responsive person to these ideas and to these values and action principles? We'll see in the next slide that as we move into the pillar of democracy, nonviolence, and peace, I'd like to start with the last part, the sense of peace. And the very last action principle in that section states that recognize that peace is the wholeness created by right relationships with oneself, other persons, other cultures, other life, earth, and the larger whole with which we all are a part. I love that definition of peace. It goes back actually to some other origins. The word shalom is also that sense of peace as wholeness, and the Arabic salam equally so. So when we look at peace, it's not just an external alleviation of strife and conflict and violence, but instead we see it as a whole kind of relationship. It connects us with more indigenous thoughts of how do I relate to the world? What is my place in this world? And how can we have these reciprocal and mutually beneficial relationships? So that always starts with ourselves. Sometimes having peace within ourselves is the hardest thing. We all have our own insecurities and our own doubts and our own anxieties as we go through. But how do we live with a self that is oriented to well-being, to a sense of wholeness, to a sense of connection and relationship, to the extent that we can embody these things in our life and in our multiple relationships, is to the extent that we bring peace into ourselves and into our inner existence. And then other persons and other cultures, I think as people in the business world, most of us are in teams at one time or another. And we realize that our relationship with these teams is really important for our productivity and for the satisfaction that we get just in being a member and a part of a team. We see this interconnection, and we also see the sense of responsibility that's a part of this. As we move to other not only other persons, but other cultures, there's an aspect of building relationship with a listening ear. Let me hear your story and your understanding of these things. If you've traveled outside of the country, occasionally, I'm just sometimes overwhelmed with the beauty and the significance and the difference of other cultures and how special they are and how they see the world through a lens that I didn't have, but I want to share with them. I like to go to places and just walk the area and pretend that I live there so I can feel the sense of relationship within that culture. The other life. If you have pets, you know that they're more than just an ancillary addition to your home. They're part of your family. You love them. You care for them. You respect them. You learn from them. It's amazing how much we learn. But then we think beyond this notion of pets to the world at large and to the natural world, to the beings around us that are struggling to live and struggling to find a place within their habitats that are slowly being lost to them. We see other life also as plants and trees. We can't live without them. Sometimes that doesn't seem like a true statement, but the fact is the diversity is what keeps the life itself, emergent life, alive. The more we lose the diversity of species and creatures, the less creative elements we have in life itself. With Earth, our planet, I'm going to talk about citizenship, but I'm also going to talk about planetary citizenship. What do we do to create relationships with this earth and natural world that we're a part of. And somehow there's even more, isn't there? Somehow we feel a part of not just this planet, but part of a larger story of the universe itself, the cosmos, the mystery of being that we all wonder about, those ultimate questions of life and meaning and purpose that drive a sense of who we are. So this recognizing that peace is wholeness created by right relationships is a key understanding of this entire section of democracy, nonviolence, and peace. Next slide. Here we have a little elaboration, rather than being abstract or just too glowing with a sense of peace. Let's look at actually pathways to this. And if you'll notice, you'll see that there are very specific pathways that are, again, related and interconnected. We can't get away from this open systems view of the way things are in the world. If we truly want to have peace, then we're looking at a part of us that is connected to the environment, connected to our own culture, connected to the way we govern ourselves and the societies we create, connected to education, and connected to economics and businesses, to health, science, and also to those big questions of why we're here and what we're about. So when we have a pathway to peace, it's not a pathway that's a linear step-by-step process. It's a view of looking at life and looking at the world in a more holistic way and seeing that peace is multifaceted. And the Earth Charter isn't talking about some utopian notion of bringing peace everywhere. But it's creating a culture of peace, an aspiration that we give attention and awareness to these facets of our life that we can impact with our own sense of being and with our own participation. The next slide is going to be very closely related because it's related to well-being. And you'll see as you look at this, some of the same categories or similar categories, at least, with the pathways of peace. We look at our sense of well-being, and we know that organizationally, that's incredibly important for productivity. It's incredibly important for the way we are in our teams. It's incredibly important to our families to have a balance of life. If we're only in one of these areas and we're letting others slide, it starts to create anxiety and worry. And so the Earth Charter is understanding that peacefulness is looking at all aspects of our life, the social, intellectual, spiritual, physical, our employment, our financial, the satisfaction that we get with our occupations and our work. All of these things are so truly, truly important. And so I usually talk about democracy, peace, and well-being because it's such an integral aspect of who we are and such an aspirational notion of building a culture around these concepts and ideas. The next slide. Nonviolence. It's interesting. I love this quote by Martin Luther King that nonviolence stands on the principle of love. And we don't talk about love very much. It's somehow an uncomfortable term in our culture. Not only is it just a very positive and inspiring concept and idea, it's also physicalized. So much research has been done recently around the idea of love and appreciation or gratitude and how important that is. to our physiology. Our hearts are stronger. They start to slow down naturally. Our blood pressure starts to lower. Just if we think and concentrate on the center of our heart and an actual experience of feeling love. So when we actually feel love, and it affects us physically. It affects the outside energy, actually, electrical energy, that is felt by others when we're with them in teams or in relationship. So it's a physicalized form. And nonviolence is not just the absence of violence. It is actually an active form of bringing love into a situation. And that's a distinction. It isn't just, I'm going to be passive and nonviolent, I'm going to hold my tongue. It's, no, I'm going to bring some love and understanding or some kind of compassionate listening into what it is I'm doing and who it is I'm interacting with. And if we can do that and build that capacity, it will pay dividends in the relationships and the teams and in the cultures, organizational or otherwise, that we try to create. And then the next slide is looking at democracy itself. And when we look at democracy itself, we start to see that it isn't just a voting aspect, that democracy actually comes from the Greek word demos and kratos, which means that when citizens participate, they have great power. And so it was to bring citizenship and democracy come together, because in the early Greek times, these citizens were the ones who needed to participate. So when they were informed and consulted and involved and they collaborated, they were power of being involved, participating, and with discernment and with wisdom. So democracy is multifaceted. And you can see from these aspects, we could spend a lot of time on each one of them, of course, how they can relate to an organization and to many different situations. The Greeks had a very interesting thing, a word that they used to denigrate or to shame people who did not participate in the democracy. And that word was idiotes. It's the root for our word idiot. So to not participate, to not take part in and be a part of a democratic decision-making for the Greeks was to be an idiot and to not take full advantage of the power that we're given. So I hope that just the sense of involvement and participation itself, if we inform ourselves and consult with others and listen to them, involve ourselves in some active way, collaborate together and empower one another, then we have a world working democracy. Of course, Jefferson and others felt that each generation had to redefine and recreate the sense of democracy. It wasn't something that was given and here it is. No, it has to be recreated and relived and reevaluated at each generational movement. So, so democracy and nonviolence and peace are three huge and multifaceted values, but these values with them. In the next slide. So as we look at the future, as we look at third breath, we're looking at how we can take an understanding and a sense of value away from our own organizations and understand ourselves as planetary citizens. Who speaks for the rivers? Who speaks for the trees, the oceans? Who speaks for the animals? Who speaks for the natural systems and interconnections of Earth? We have to sometimes be that voice. And as we are that voice, then we are taking responsibility for the future generations that will come after us. We're taking responsibility to leave a legacy of beauty and bounty that the Earth Charter talks about. In the next slide. In the epilogue of the Earth Charter, there's a oft quoted vision that says, "Let ours be a time remembered for the awakening of a new reverence for life, the firm resolve to achieve sustainability, the quickening of the struggle for justice and peace, and the joyful celebration of life." I love this statement. It resonates so deeply with me. And sometimes we think of values as being soft, but values actually are existential choices. And organizational theorists will say, if your organization isn't built around values and you can't really feel and see those values acting out in the workplace and among the relationships that are there, then your business is not very strong. It's not very foundationally supported. And the more you have this existential commitment to values that work for you and that propel you into the future, the stronger and more satisfying it is. So visioning forward, I invite you to imagine and reimagine a world built around the values of the Earth Charter and the actions we take to bring them to life in our own lives, but also in the lives of our organizations, our communities, our country, and the world itself. I have some videos, or excuse me, some slides just to bring us toward that sense of reimagining. Never underestimate the power of imagination. And we'll end on this next slide. There's one that has us connected to the earth and letting the tree of life that we're all a part of prosper and grow and influence and make a difference in this world. So I thank you so very much to have an opportunity to share this last pillar with you, and I wish you well. Please stay in touch as you have questions about the Earth Charter. There are many, many opportunities to be involved and make it a part of your work and your life. Thanks.
Wonderful. Well said. Thank you, Dr. Crowell, so much. Thank you for your time and for your knowledge and your insights. That was all very, very well said. And thank you everyone who is attending this webinar today. As Sam already touched on, if you're ready to get involved with Earth Charter, there's a lot of different ways that you can get involved, whether it's taking a course, an online course, or becoming a partner or an affiliate. If you want to learn more, feel free to email me at this email shown on your screen right now, which is earthcharter@medcombenefits.com. Again, that's earthcharter@medcombenefits.com. And I hope everyone has a great day and stay safe.